G'day folks, and welcome back to the channel for part number 2 of my Vitality Ravenous Earth Ritualist playthrough. Last episode we got about halfway through Act 1, and this episode we are going to continue that. Now, I prefer to do Barnabas's quest here pretty much once I've gotten to the Flooded Passage Rift here. There's no particular need to do it now. You can even wait until after Krieg if you prefer, but I'm going to get it done now. So it's going to be a decently quick run through here. Nothing too crazy is going to happen. I think if I run into the totem in here, I'm probably not going to do it. I want a little bit more power, or at least maybe the bat devotion behind me before I start messing too much with totems. It's definitely something that I could do, but as you saw with the one that I tried earlier in episode 1, depending on what spawns, you may just end up having to kite it forever instead of being able to kill it in a second or two, and it kind of isn't worth it when you get to that point. You can see here we're killing the trash pretty quickly, and yes, I did notice the level up, and I will spend the points as soon as we get into a safer position. This is kind of safe-ish, so we'll go ahead and do it here. So 1 point in Ravenous Earth, 1 point in Spectral Wrath, and 1 point in the bar. I'm going to raise the bar up to 25 points because I do want to get Decay. I'm going to leave Foul Eruption for now, because Foul Eruption will only actually do anything at all if you actually kill something. This is a lower priority than Decay, which pretty much always works. We could even just stop right here, max out Spectral Wrath, max out Ravenous Earth, and then start going into Shaman. We do want to get Devouring Swarm, we want Storm Totems, and then we want to turn them into Vitality Totems. So there's a decent amount in here. Mogdrogan's Pact is pretty much always good for anything, and same deal over here on the Necromancer tree. More points in Spectral Binding is going to allow us to put all of our points into Spirit and not run out of hit points. So Ritualist has a lot of health bonuses. Both the Shaman and the Necromancer. Most of their, I guess we'll call them defensive layers, have health on them. So you're going to get large amounts of flat health here. This is like 1,500 health or something when you max it out. Then over on the Shaman tree, if you're using a two-hander, that's a huge pile of flat health there. If you're not using a two-hander, or even if you are, Heart of the Wild here I think is like 12% health as well. So there's a lot of just health in these two trees, and we can take advantage of that to not have to put quite so many points into physique. Also, there has been a change in what the stats do a little while back, and physique is no longer the complete no-brainer that it used to be. You actually get a decent amount of health from cunning. You can see there I've got 53 bonus health from 103 cunning, and physique is obviously going to be better, but yeah, we're even getting health from the spirit here. So for the moment I want to be putting, I think, pretty much every point I get into spirit. We're going to need something like 724 or something like that. I'm not sure why that exact number is in my head, but we're going to be needing a lot of spirit to use the offhand that we're going to be using at the end here. Now Veloth is going to be a pain, because Veloth is resistant to poison, and you'll never guess what half of Ravenous Earth's damage is. If you guessed poison, then yes, you are correct. I think it's technically acid, is it? Nope, it is actually poison, so there you go. Anyway, we're going to whittle Veloth down. I'm going to grab these, Thunderstruck of the Void. I'm not going to bother with that one. And I'm basically just going to use Evade. Every time I see the big orange thing, I'm going to evade this water wave attack, because that's going to Sunder. Now, Veloth doesn't have a huge amount of follow-up damage. If you do get sundered, it's not the end of the world. And same for the next boss we're going to be facing, which is the Shambler in the Flooded Passage. He also will sunder you and then not really take advantage of it. So now is a good time to kind of get used to dodging sunder, if you can do that. And there we go, got sundered and dead. Okay, I've got a really good ring here. So any ring of mending is a pretty good base. And then generals is kind of okay. But Veloth's ring comes with pierce resist, I think. Might be the Aether. Anyway, that's got a bunch of regeneration, some offensive ability, percent health, and energy. The acid damage, the 3 acid damage we can't make use of. The 17% acid damage we also can't make use of because I just said this was poison. So, not amazing, but all the rest of the stats on this are really, really good. Necrotic Edge we're not going to take. This one here, so that's going to be cold and vitality damage. But again, you have to hit things with a weapon to trigger this, so it's no good for us. Okay, Devotion Point. Let's go ahead and chuck that in there. I probably should have spent this when I unlocked it, just to get a little bit more damage to kill Veloth. Alright, we'll go turn this in, and we'll get our extra bag out of it, so empty or nothing here. And then we now have a bunch of reputation and more inventory space, which is, I mean, I'm not going to say it's always a good thing, but it's pretty much always a good thing. Alright, I'm going to chuck this on. It's very, very similar. They're both vigorous quilted coats. Arcane Lore is much more useful than 5% piercing damage, so we're going to take that. This weapon... Okay, honestly, this is probably better. The Lightning Bolt proc is probably worth more damage than 19% vitality damage and 18% vitality decay. I'm gonna use it. It's probably neither here nor there. Same with this one. This has got 102 health on it and some resistances, which is worth more to me than 8% chaos damage that I don't do any of, so yes please. And hopefully we've got another quest here. We can meet Birdman. Beautiful. So we can go turn that in. And that should get me to level 12, which gets me a new hat. Happy days. Milton's hat is really, really good. Okay, thank you. How can I help? Yep. Nope, no XP. Alright, I guess we go kill things. We're so close. Alright, that's fine. Into the Flooded Passage. Now, this is a pretty straightforward area. You run through it, you kill Slith, you kill werewolves, you kill quill rats, you kill insects. And then there's a boss fight and a devotion shrine at the end. There's my level 12, new hat. Let's just do what I know I'm going to be doing. I think I'm probably going to put at least 20 points into spirit. And maybe then I'll put a few into physique. Getting back to what I was saying earlier about this mastery combination having a ton of health compared to other casters, that does mean that you can kind of get away with ignoring defensive ability. The base damage increase from being crit is only 10%. And if you've got a ton of extra health, it's basically crit mitigation, kind of. If you just have more health, it doesn't matter if you take a little bit more damage. Now, there are going to be some things, some enemies that that have more than 10% extra damage on a crit. Things like Lokar that we're not going to encounter while we're leveling. But most things while leveling don't have huge crit bonuses. And so you should be okay. You'll also just naturally get a decent amount of defensive ability while you're leveling from putting stats into the stat bar and the occasional item that'll give you a bunch of it as well. Always fun when you kill these. Later, once we do get Foul Eruption, and we'll probably end up with something like 7 points in that just by accident. I'm only planning on putting 1 point into it, but we'll see what happens. Once we do get that, you'll do this, it'll it'll cast once, it'll kill one thing, and then he'll explode and kill a bunch of other things, and they'll all explode. It's kind of like Corpse Explosion from Diablo 2, kind of, if you squint. But it is quite good. Even though it's not particularly amazing for bosses, it's still quite useful for clearing hordes of trash. Speaking of hordes of trash, you guys could die, that'd be great. I just want my devotion point, that's all. Okay, I want the loot as well. Okay, devotion point, into the bat. Again, more vitality damage. This bleeding damage at the moment is useless. When we do eventually take Shaman, Devouring Swarm here is going to be doing bleeding damage as well. So even though it's not something we're focusing on, we are going to be shredding bleeding resistance at least a little bit because of Devouring Swarm. And we are going to be doing some bleeding damage, again, because of Devouring Swarm. It's not going to be much, but it's not nothing. Alright, what pants did I just put on? Okay, well it's better than white pants. So, there we are. How about this belt? Aether and Elemental Resistance and Offensive Ability. You know what? I'm going to swap that in. And I'm also going to put a Scavenge Plating on there, just to increase my average armor rating a little bit. Corpse Dust on the ring. If I get another Corpse Dust, I'll put that on the ring as well. For now, though, I think the rest are probably fine. Oh, okay. It's boss time. So kind of in the middle of this little platform here is going to be a giant rock golem. It is the Mossy Shambler or something, some kind of shambler. It's a giant rock golem, and you want to stay as close to it as you can at all times. If you try to run away, it'll cause cave-ins, it'll throw a rock at you. If that rock hits you, there's a pretty good chance you just die. From full health to dead is maybe not 100% going to happen, but I would not be surprised if it did. So when you come in here, stand next to him and just stay there. Yes, you're going to get hit. Yes, you can kite him, but it is much safer to be nice and close than it is to be trying to dodge the one-shot rock and stay out of the roof falling on your head. It's just heaps easier to do this. Also, I think his next attack is going to Sunder. Nope, I was off by, what, 1? 2? 3, there we go. Alright, so as I was saying, he will Sunder you, but then there's not really any follow-up damage. He gets one attack while you are sundered. So his one auto attack does a little bit of extra damage, and then you go back to not caring about Sunder. So for this boss only, you can just kind of ignore the Sunder. It's still obviously good practice to dodge it, but if you maybe forget or you mistime the dodge or whatever, this guy's not going to punish you for it. I'm probably still going to dodge just out of habit. It is a good habit to have as well. Alright, so this is the downside to Vitality casters. Single target damage is not amazing. It's also the downside to low-level characters who only have a single skill that has a cooldown. Again, damage is not amazing on single targets. Ravenous Earth is actually quite bad single target damage. You can still kill things with it, but it is definitely not good. Okay, the Shambler's Heart is a monster infrequent, and it's a soldier monster infrequent, but it comes with, I'm pretty sure, Aether and Elemental all the time, but it's... maybe it's only Elemental all the time, actually. It definitely has that 7% armor all the time, and the rest of the stats on here are just generally good. This one has more regen than my Sister's Amulet. I'll lose a little bit of max health and gain literally everything else. So yes, this is a good swap. We're going to trade that in and be on our way. So we are now officially in the back half of Act 1. And it's maybe time to get a wriggle on here. I want to get Act 1 done this episode. And it's already quite late here, which I realize nobody cares. but I have work in the morning. So I want to get this done. Let's mosey on a little bit quicker. So talk to Duncan, grab the quest. He is going to have you find Angrim. Angrim or Angron? I never remember which one's the Demon Prince and which one's the Blacksmith. It doesn't matter. We're going to go find them regardless, and they're pretty much just over here. So we run up here. We're going to side with It Literally Doesn't Matter. I'm going to side with Duncan because he gives you extra XP only in normal difficulty. If you side with Duncan in Ultimate, you will get the same XP as if you had sided with Angrim. So I'm going to side with Duncan, where are we? Pass the hammer on, side with Duncan, thank you. Duncan and I will do amazing things. The one big downside to siding with Duncan is you actually have to come back here and talk to him. Whereas if you side with Angrim, then you can just go back to town and turn the quest in. You have to actually come back here, talk to Duncan, and then go back to town to turn the quest in if you side with him. So, a little bit unfortunate, a little bit of extra... it's not really work, let's be honest. One extra teleport and a little bit of extra running for more XP. Alright, looks like I have access to the back door here, so I'm just going to sneak in, grab the devotion point, and then go ahead and leave. Now this should... I was going to say it should give me the proc. Apparently I've missed a shrine somewhere, or I've miscounted. It's probably miscounted, but definitely want to get my hands on that. There's level 13. Let's just keep putting points in the places where we had previously discussed. One in Spectral Binding, one in Ravenous Earth itself, and one in the bar to get towards Decay. I am going to go around here and kill all of these Aether Clusters as well, because as I've mentioned in the previous episode, there is no such thing as enough Aether Crystals. You need more of them. It doesn't matter if you have a stack of 100 of them in your stash. You will probably burn through that during the leveling process. Also, I think at this point I've said you can't have enough of them in so many different series that I think people would consider it to be weird and be wondering if I'm okay if I didn't say that. Alright, tempting to go get that totem, but I think we'll leave totems for a little bit longer. Totems are a really good way to get levels and blue items. The problem, or the downside I guess with that, is most blue items are basically garbage. I think the first blue item that I'm kind of aware of that would be useful for this build is going to be at level 30. I'm sure there's going to be some random level 18 vitality item that I'm just not thinking of. But the first one I'm thinking of that's actually going to be guaranteed useful is it Padala's Will? It's a +1 to Necromancer skills offhand. And it's level 30 required, so that's going to be the first thing that I'm kind of thinking of that's definitely going to be useful. Alright, these two are annoying when your single target damage is kind of pants, like mine is. But that's alright, we will keep casting on the floor at them. What I should do is head up the road to rescue the apprentice and get the devotion point, and then we'll have the bat, and the bat will give us a damage proc that'll be attached to Ravenous Earth. It'll go off constantly. Just need to run away a little bit. Don't really want to die. The bat proc, the Twin Fangs proc that is, will just go off constantly. It'll provide healing, it'll provide damage. It's got all of the fun things. Be very useful once we've got it. Then after that, I think we get the... was it the Jackal next? I'll go through it when we get to that point. Have a little bit of a chat about devotions. Alright, once again, you need all the Aether Crystals you can get, so go ahead and grab them. And let's be on our way up the road here. There is not a devotion point, there's a lore note over here. Which, you know, free XP, why not? Here we go. Evade's main use in this game, actually not dodging Sunders, it's getting through doorways that are blocked. That's the main use of Sunder in this game. I know everyone's going to tell you it's amazing for dodging Sunders, and that is true, but the main thing it gets used for is either movement or getting through blocked doorways. I guarantee you, every single person uses it mostly for that. Alright, This is the first part where I tend to notice a decent difference between normal and veteran, and it's probably like that because I point it out every single time, so I notice it. You will get more spawns here on veteran than you will on normal. You'll already notice there's a lot of stuff coming out of the ground. Sometimes you get up to 3 heroes here. There we go, we've got all 3 of them. You will pretty much always only get 1 of these on normal difficulty. So we're going to run around in circles to dodge the vitality waves and such. And they're all actually going down pretty quickly, which is nice. Okay, Warding of Supremacy would be amazing if I was playing a Force Wave character. Warding is actually pretty good anyway. I don't think that's worth the upgrade. I'm going to come up here and grab this little book on the platform here, or on the lectern, which is going to give me a quest to, well, kill or choose to side with Doreni back in town. Can save some time later. Not a good idea if you're in Ultimate, or if you plan on farming reputation with Devil's Crossing, or more accurately, negative reputation with Cronley's gang, because you actually want to kill Doreni in Ultimate, but we're not in Ultimate, so maybe we can save a bit of time in Act 2 by spending a little bit of time in Act 1. It's probably not worth it, let's be honest, but hey, Blood of Chthon, which is definitely worth it. Alright, so abandoned waterfront here. We're looking for weathered chests, and they have specific locations. So I'm just going to go around and check them. Here's one of them. So this is my first fabric, and we need 3 of these fabrics. Like I said, there are specific locations. So this one here is a metal strongbox. This is not going to have a fabric. This is definitely going to have a fabric. There it is. So now I have 2 of 3. And one more is either going to be this one here, or it's going to be against the back wall at the top of the steps here. Pretty sure it's this one though. Yep, there it is. Alright, beautiful. We have Impervious of the Drangul. That's actually going to be really good. So Impervious is Pierce and Poison, which definitely want. And then Drangul is Lifesteal from memory. Something along those lines. It may end up being Regeneration. I'll have a look once I kill Gut Ripper the Unstoppable here. Alright, and the Overseer. There we go. Take him out as well. Right, what do we actually end up with? It is health regen and armor, not lifesteal. But that is still a pretty nice belt. I think I'm going to keep the Thunderstruck of Attack just for that Aether resistance. Having said that though, no, you know what? We'll swap it over. Let's go ahead and chuck that on the other ring, and I definitely want one of those there. Forgot to spend my points in Spirit, and we are getting there on skill points. So 4 more levels, level 18, we'll start putting points into Decay. We'll be very close to capped on Ravenous Earth. Actually, we will be capped on Ravenous Earth because we only need 3 points of Spectral Wrath. Then I'll put 2 into Ravenous Earth on level 18. So that's going to be very, very nice. Alright, up here we've got the lore note just here. This little spot right here is where the other fabric could have spawned. Alright, it's nearly bat time. We're nearly there. So I can see any second. There it is. That devotion shrine just popped up on the map. It's going to be glorious when we get it. It's going to be even more glorious when we get a few more levels in it. And yep, looks like I just get to walk straight in, turn the shrine on, do the fight. You'll love to see it. This could have been blocked and I'd have to go all the way around the world to get here. Always good when it's not. Alright, there we go. Bingo, bango, bongo, and on Ravenous Earth. So this should trigger pretty quickly and pretty reliably. What do we got here? So 38% chance on every single hit. So if there's a pack of 6 monsters and our little booger volcano spits out 6 boogers, I mean, you're going to see it trigger multiple times here. And we're getting health back from it, which is really, really good. So we're pretty much at the point now where we should be able to face tank most things, just because of the bat proc. And like I said, once we get a few more levels into the bat proc, it's going to be even better. Kasparov sent me, yep. Once we get another couple of spells, like if we put 1 point into Siphon Souls, which I probably will, because we'll have the points in the bar to unlock it, that's going to give us another life-stealing attack. Probably put 1 point into Bone Harvest as well. Granted, Bone Harvest is not going to be quite so good with a one-handed weapon, but it's still going to be pretty good. You see the bat proc firing off into the sky there. Alright, let's see if we can sneak around and get our hands on all of these lore notes here. There's definitely a lot of stuff in here, and this house can be a little bit rippy, but it's going to be fine. Oh, Chthonian Heresy Part 2. Absolutely want that. Any free XP that I can get my hands on. It's definitely good. Alright, we have made it into the Warden's cellar, and we've just hit level 15. Level 15 is really good because you can, if you so desire, head back to town and do a whole bunch of crafting at this point for components. I'm not going to do that just yet, but definitely could do it. What do we got here? No proc, no good. I am looking for damage procs on weapons and offhands and pretty much everything. Don't get huge amounts of them early on, but definitely good to have. Alright, so the Warden Cellar, we're pretty much just going to run through here. There is a totem in this area that I strongly recommend you avoid. It is considered by me, I won't speak for the rest of the Grim Dawn community, but this is probably the most dangerous totem in the game. Even if it's not, strictly speaking, the most dangerous, it definitely has the highest kill count for hardcore characters. I guarantee you, 100%, there is no chance of any other totem having anywhere near as high a kill count as this particular one, because it is both early in the story and also kind of scary. So just be aware that it is quite a scary totem, and you probably want to avoid it. I mean, by all means, give it a shot, but I'm not going to activate it. I am absolutely scared. So if I'm scared, maybe you should be, or maybe I'm just being a wimp. That's definitely possible. Having said that, though, while I've been waffling, I've made it to the second area, almost. Once I go down these stairs, we'll be in the second area. So, underground transit. We've got another rift right here to kind of save our progress and or give us the option to go back. We will be going back to town at the next rift gate, I think. But for now, let's just push on. There is another devotion shrine here. Probably worth going back to town to take the point out of Crossroads Green. Put it into Crossroads Red and maybe start on the Jackal. Not the end of the world if you don't do it, though. Okay, let's take the direct route here. A lot of the times I'll end up going up around this way. Just because of where particular doors have been blocked and such. Okay, Skyfallen is definitely something I want to look at. Just clear the area out a little bit. I don't want to go into the next area because it's just absolutely filled with hordes of zombies. Right. Skyfallen of Celerity. Casting speed, not a huge deal for this build, since pretty much all of our spells are going to be on cooldowns. So that's not really a massive deal. The lightning bolt on attack is much more useful than a lightning bolt when hit. So I am going to swap that in. I'm also going to chuck a cracked lodestone on there, just so we get that extra bonus lightning damage. I'm not going to use the skill, but it's definitely worth having a look at. This extra armor would be really nice. That aether resistance is also quite nice. Going to lose a decent chunk of health, but yeah, it'll be fine. Aether resistance, very useful for the act boss. So you definitely want to have a look at that. Right, Jackal I think is next. Let's just take a second here. I want to talk a little bit about the devotion points. I think I've got probably enough time here. Alright, so when you're playing Grim Dawn, when you're looking at your devotions, there's a couple things you pretty much have to have, no matter what class or damage type you're playing. Now, this is a Vitality build, so you have to have Will of Ritualist here. That Vitality resistance shredding is pretty much required, and if you happen to be playing a Fire or a Chaos build, then Eldritch Fire would be the version for that. If you happen to be playing a Cold or Poison, it's going to be Rumor, but regardless, for Vitality, it's going to be Will of Ritualist. So you're pretty much required to have this. Then there's another type of resistance shredding. So you'll see this one is minus whatever percent of type resistance. So minus 13% vitality resistance. If we come up here, we've then got Tip the Scales, which is the Scales of Volkama, which has 4... notice there's no percent, so 4 reduced targets resistances for 3 seconds. This is a type of resistance shredding that does not stack. So this one does not stack with this one. You see how it's got at the bottom there 3 reduced targets resistance for 5 seconds. Whichever one of these has the most resistance shredding will be active, and the other one, if it's active on the target, will just do nothing until the first one wears off. So it can be good to have 2, maybe 3 different types of this, just so as you have some overlap. But you want at least one source of this particular type. So Tip the Scales here, or Revenant, is where we're going to get it from Devotions. You can also use Elemental Storm if you're doing Elemental resistance shredding. This doesn't work for Vitality, so I'm not interested in that. So basically what I want to do, I want to get to Ritosh kind of as fast as I can. And what do I got? I got 2 red, 4 green, but that's because of this. So if I get another, so I get red, I get Jackal, that'll bring me to 6 red, which is what I need for Ritosh. I then need to get my hands on 6 of the yellow ones, so let's say, I don't know, maybe Tortoise, Lion, and Crossroads. And then I think I need a couple more green. So maybe we end up getting the Hawk. This is going to give us offensive stuff. Or maybe we need that 1 extra point and we'll end up with Scholar's Light. But something like that. And then we'll get Ritosh. You want to get this particular one pretty much as fast as you can. And unfortunately for a Vitality build, the resistance shredding proc is a tier 3, which I'm pretty sure it's the only tier 3 resistance shredding proc, or the stacking version anyway, which is quite unfortunate because it means it's very expensive. It means you don't get it until a decent amount later. So while you can, like if you're doing a fire build, you'll have, you know, maybe 20, 25 devotion points, and you'll have both of your resistance shredding devotions, whereas with a Vitality build, you might have one of them, but you're definitely not going to have both. And you're probably not going to have Ritosh. And Ritosh is the one you want to get kind of as soon as you can. Anyway, that's fine. We'll keep pushing on here. About to hit level 16. There it is. 1, 1, and 1. So you're seeing things hit me and then their health bar evaporates. This is because Spectral Wrath, when it's fully maxed out and you're building your character for either physical, vitality, or aether, it just does crazy amounts of damage because it shreds their resistances and then it smacks them with those damage types. So especially if you're putting a lot of points into it, it can clear trash pretty much on its own. Maybe not quite at that point yet, but you definitely can get to that point. Alright, once again, I definitely need all of the Aether Crystals I can get my hands on. I do want to be crafting Ward Stones at the end of Act 1. 47% Aether Res is probably fine. One of the other fun things about a Vitality build is you don't have any Vitality auras. So, if you're doing Fire, then you can make Enchanted Flints, and they will give you auras that give you flat and percentage fire damage. You don't have that for Vitality. You do have some kind of like that, and I'll show those when we go back to town, but it's only kind of like that. So we can put on the Salt and the what's the other one? The Aether and the Chaos Resistance auras. We can definitely put those on. Once we get to level 20, Gitrand is here. He's going to hit pretty hard from memory. Oh no, it's his friends and that fire circle. Okay. That's fine, we can run around in circles and eventually he'll die. The other good thing about that lightning proc on the weapon is every time we hit something with one of the boogers, it has a chance to trigger. Anytime one of the boogers triggers the bat's damage devotion, it gets 2 more chances to trigger. So that lightning bolt is pretty much going to be going off on cooldown. And ideally we would want the Doom proc, or the Doom Bolt proc, instead of the Lightning Bolt proc, because then we would be doing Vitality damage. But yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. We also want to get our hands on the Geel, I think it's Geel Relic, which is going to give us a life-stealing wave as another damage proc. I'm pretty sure that's coming from Devil's Crossing. I haven't checked this sort of stuff yet because I'm not up to it, but that one's going to be quite good, and that will pretty much be our relic until we get our hands on Mortality. Maybe even after that, actually. It's a really good proc. The proc itself does Vitality damage, which we are scaling, and then it also does a decent amount of lifesteal. I think it's 20% of the damage it does is stolen as life. So that's quite good. Alright, let's push into the next room here. We've got another boss in this room. We've got 6 Aether Crystals. All good things. Definitely need to get a little bit more energy regen before I start thinking about adding additional spells to the casting order. I will end up with several other spells, and they're all cooldown spells, which is nice. It means we cycle them. But it is going to chew through the energy of this build. So as much as I would love to have Mortality or Geel, we may actually end up having to use the Bone Talisman just for energy. Alright, maybe we can stab him a little bit. Just die already. Krieg's gonna be fun. Alright, so we're up to Warden Krieg. Looks like we're not going to get to 17. Actually, yes, we are going to get to 17. I'm going to go and find some stuff to kill to get me to level 17. So it looks like I'm going to need something like 20 zombies. Maybe we'll go for a quick walk through the spider lair down here. I don't think I'll need to go that far, but there is an Exalted Stash in there, so it could be worth doing anyway. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for a walk through the spider's house. So just down here, you'll notice this little bit on the map here kind of pokes out. That's because that's the entry into a series of caves that are not marked on the map. And in here is a whole bunch of spiders who we're going to murder. And there's also a pretty good chance to have an Exalted Stash in here, which has a guaranteed blue or better. Though at this level it's blue. 1 guaranteed blue item. Now, there is another unmarked cave system on the other side of the area, which could be where the Exalted Stash is. And it is starting to look like it might be over there instead of over here. And I'm definitely not running all the way over there for one blue item that is almost certainly not going to be any good for the build. So we'll just have to, you know, be happy with Whitemane the Thunderstruck. So drop me something nice, please. There we go, Soul's Touch. Aether damage. Gloves. I mean, technically, I did say drop me something nice. The armor is very nice. The rest of the stuff on this is kind of whatever. So I'm going to leave that for now. Chuck my point in spirit there. We are now maxed on Spectral Wrath, which you love to see. And we'll put one more point in Ravenous Earth here, so get a little bit more damage. I probably could go and take 2 points out of there and put it into Ravenous Earth, but, you know, more energy. More damage, but more energy. Alright, let's go poke Warden Krieg. Actually, Scar Snout. Is it Scar Snout? Yeah, the cannibal. We'll kill him first. You got those big shiny stars next to your name. You gonna come out of there, or there we go. So there is a bit of a sweet spot with Ravenous Earth where if the enemy is kind of big enough, large enough, and they stand right in the middle of this, you can hit them with multiple projectiles. So you can actually do pretty respectable single target damage on larger enemies. So on something like, let's say Gargle Balls or Sylvaria, or even Warden Krieg is probably big enough. You can do quite respectable amounts of single target damage. It's just the small things that that don't take quite so much damage. Okay, I'm gonna go kill Krieg and then we'll do our crafting. Probably should do the crafting first, but yeah, it's whatever. Do I have anything that's going to help with energy? Not really. I could get some more stats with this polished emerald here. I could go and get some more Aether resist with the salt aura, but I think we just kill him. So in his first form, you can pretty much just stand in his face and hold Ravenous Earth down, and you probably kill him. So I've got a decent amount of regen. It's not amazing the amount of regen I have, but it's apparently enough that I haven't needed to use a healing potion yet. Although I am getting down to below half, so I'm just going to use one. Great thing about healing potions is they're effectively unlimited now. Obviously with a cooldown. Second form of Warden Krieg, we're going to be doing a lot of running around, but the first form, we pretty much just stand in his face and throw boogers at him. He is pretty much no threat. What is my regen amount? I've only got 48 regen. Let's get out of that. Okay, second form, there's a couple different ways you can do this. So you can stand in his face and just blow him up, and every time he does the stomp, you use a healing potion, and otherwise you just take whatever he hits you with. There's a stomp. Apparently we don't have quite enough regen. There's the healing potion. It does look like I'm going to have to kite a little bit. We can evade that. So once you start staying at range, he's going to spit poisonous darts at you. He's going to charge you. Now he'll do the stomp. Next comes either the wave or the darts, and then usually the other one. Yep, there we go. Darts again. He should dash towards me. Yep, here comes the stomp. Then we've got the wave, so next is going to be the darts. It's a very predictable pattern. It's not 100% set in stone, but every time he charges towards you, he will follow it up with the stomp, and then it's usually going to be darts or wave after that. So very predictable, even if it's not 100% exactly predictable. It's usually, you know, stay at range, dodge sideways. When he charges at you, get out of the circle that's about to appear. That's pretty much the entire fight. And down he goes. There we go. Alright, so he's dropped me the Razorback Spined Mantle, which, I mean, it does have more spines to fling at things. Decent amount of armor on it, but nothing too crazy. And we're just going to pick all this up. The weapon is unlikely to be any good for this particular build. It's very unlikely to have vitality stuff on it. It is, however, quite likely to have a proc on it, so you can get the Mage Storm. Aether Lightning is pretty good. We do shred Aether resistance, so I am actually going to use this weapon. I'm not going to put another lodestone on it because we're going to get some resistance auras. The shield, depending on what it drops with, Caustic of Protection is kind of bad. If you get Durable of anything, it's almost certainly worth wearing. Durable Warden's Fortress can have, I want to say it's up to like 21% physical resistance, which is really, really good. So if you get a durable Warden's Fortress, just go ahead and use it. And don't worry about killing things. You just hide behind that shield, and eventually things will just die from Spectral Wrath, if nothing else. Okay, don't forget while you're in here to pop the Warden's chest, because every single time when you kill him the first time, it will drop a Tainted Brain Matter, which we can use to create a relic. Now, on most other playthroughs, I would say just make the relic and you're done. On this playthrough, however, we're about to start Act 2, and one of the first quests here is to actually go and get a relic. And the relic from Act 2 is going to give us 100% all damage, which is quite good. And it's also going to give us energy regeneration. So it's damage and energy regeneration in a relic, which is really, really good. Now, I'm just taking my components back here. And we're about to go do some crafting. Now, I've got 17 scrap. That is heaps of scrap. But just to make sure, I do like to repair the bridge first. Because if you do a whole bunch of crafting and then you only have 2 scrap left, this costs 6 to repair. Now you've got to go farm things you've already killed before in order to get some more scrap so you can repair the bridge. Right, let's go ahead and sell all of this. How about this ring? Nope. Pet stuff. Not interested in pet stuff for this character. There we go. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do at this point is I am going to take that scavenge plating off of my belt. So I'm going to keep the item. Unfortunately, this does mean I've just destroyed a scavenge plating, but I've got 9 of them. It's going to be fine. Right, let's go do some crafting. So one of the fun things about Diablo 2 is that you can put gems into all of your equipment. Hang on a second, I'm in the wrong game. You can put components onto every piece of gear you have, with the exception of your relic. So let's just do a whole bunch of turn-ins here. Oh, Doreni needs to die. You can side with him and he'll give you a key that'll get you into a hidden area. I'm just going to kill him. And I'm going to take the Blood of Chthon. I'm not interested in talking right now, thank you. Alright. So I'm going to take the Blood of Chthon and the XP. Doreni was doing Doreni things. And yep, absolutely. Good chat, buddy. Alright, so components. These are the relics that ordinarily I would say this one is pretty good, but like I said, we're about to get one for free, so we don't do that one this time. I don't have a medal, so getting either the Ranger's badge if you're level 22, or the Ranger's ribbon if you're not, just go ahead and bash one out. I got Mighty, which is, you know, it's whatever, health and physique. I think it might actually only be the physique. Yep, you get health as a base there. That's fine. I will just use that until I get a better drop. And this will stay empty for now. Alright, so default, and I'm doing air quotes around default. The default components I like to get are 2 wardstones. So 1, 2. 2 scaled hides. Looks like I'm only getting 1, but we can make bristle fur, so let's just do bristly fur. I need 1 of those. So 2 scaled hides. 1, 2. 1 silk swatch. So if you do a search for SIL, you'll need to make 1 resilient plating and then a silk swatch. Of course, I don't have a serrated spike, so let's go shopping. Serrated spikes drop from the insect type enemies, and you can also buy them from merchants, which is really good. Also, as long as I'm here, I'm going to check, which I should have done before I crafted one of these, but I'm going to check the metals and just make sure there isn't some godly metal here, which thankfully there isn't. Okay, so silk swatch. And depending on what your resistances are like, if your piercing resistance is like 8%, or let's say below about 20, instead of making 2 scaled hides, you want to make 2 silk swatches. Now, my pierce res is already almost 60%, so I'm just going to make 1 silk swatch and call that done. On your rings, you probably want corpse dust. You may not have 2 corpse dust at this point. Just go ahead and chuck them on when you get one. And then the other thing I want is anti-venom salve. Now, these will give me 20% poison resistance each, as well as some regeneration and a little bit of armor on the slot that they're applied to. So, I have 39% poison, and I can make 2 of these, so I'm going to make 2. I would say you only actually need 1 of these, and it's going to go on your belt, but if you have enough for a second one, it's usually going to be worth having a second one. So let's chuck some of these on. The wardstone goes on the metal and also on the amulet. That's going to give us some elemental and bleeding resistance as well as move speed. So bleeding's up to 60, piercing's up to 60. 1 silk swatch will get me both of those high 70s. So 75, 77. The cap is 80, so putting another silk swatch on would not really help me that much. So I'm going to go with 2 scaled hides. Again, if you've got 1 silk swatch on already and you're not at least 50% piercing resistance, I would drop 1 scaled hide and I would put a 2nd silk swatch on my pants. Because my resistances are quite high, I'm going to put scaled hides on chest and legs. And if you mouse over the armor rating, my armor absorption percentage has just gone from 70 to 98. This means instead of 30% of incoming physical damage ignoring my armor, it's only 2%. So my armor is much more effective now. And then anti-venom salve goes on the belt. I'm not going to say you must have one on your belt, but it's a very good idea to have one on your belt. Because belt armor on your belt doesn't count as being one of these slots, it is actually applied to all of the slots. So if you get plus 50 armor on your belt, you actually are getting 50 armor on your legs, 50 armor on your chest, on your helmet, on your shoulders, on your gloves, and on your boots, but it's only on your belt. So getting local armor on the belt is global armor. Basically, these 6 slots here, if you're getting armor from an item that is not in one of those slots, it's global armor. And if you're getting armor from one of those slots, so if I put this anti-venom salve on the helmet, it's only going to apply that additional 24 armor to the helmet. So, see there, my head has 130 armor and then 122 on my shoulders. Well, now it's 158 on my head and it's still 122 on shoulders because that counts as local armor. And it's probably the wrong terminology, but you know what I mean. If you have 2 anti-venom salves on your gear and your poison resist is 40% because you don't have any from anywhere else, you can put another one on your gloves, you can put another one on your boots. I'd probably leave your boots till last. And the rest of your stuff, you should be pretty right there. Chaos resistance doesn't really matter at the moment. However, there is imbued silver. This will give you 20% chaos resistance and push the maximum you can have up to 83%. So that goes on your weapon. You don't need this until Act 3, or maybe you want a little bit of it if you go into the hidden side area from Dorani's Keep. And then the other one you want to have a look at is Purified Salt. This does the exact same thing except for Aether resistance, and you get a bit of extra damage to ethereals. This one is not bad. If I had another corpse dust, I actually had planned to put them on here, but I don't have one, so it's a little hard to do that. Can I craft corpse dust? I don't think you can. No. I could make ectoplasm, actually. No, I couldn't. I need soul shards. Can I make soul shards? It's gonna need ectoplasms, just watch. Oh no, you can't make it anyway. That's fine. So these are kind of the defaults. Silk swatch on the shoulders, scaled hide on the chest. Depending on what your pierce resistance is, you could have either a scaled hide here or a silk swatch on your pants, anti-venom salve on your belt, wardstone on your medal and your amulet. Gloves and boots you can leave blank for right now. If you need poison and acid, then chuck another anti-venom salve on there. Same for your helmet. If you don't need the poison and acid resist, I probably wouldn't put that on there, but it's fine if you do. Corpse dust on your rings if you have corpse dust. If you don't, just chuck some polished emeralds on there for some extra stats. And maybe consider one of the aether resistance things on your weapons. If we just have a quick look here at vitality damage, the Hollow Fang, you can put this on your weapons, and it's not horrible. I would probably not really recommend it. It's not bad, but it's not amazing either. So the vitality decay damage, you have to hit something with your weapon to actually get that. And 18% vitality damage is just not that much. The attack damage converted to health is probably the main thing on this that's actually useful. So you can get these, but I'm probably not going to. At least not for a while. Alright, let's go ahead and turn this quest in. And that's actually going to be it for this episode. Is this enough fabric? Yeah, so next episode we're going to start Act 2. Made it to level 17, which is not horrible at all. But yeah, that's going to be it for this particular video, so I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and goodbye for now.